Charles Hildebittel said, "Director, would you look at this protrusion?" And he was very, very careful in what he did. You have to be very careful not to in any way gouge the print layer beneath. So I said, "Well, it's probably just a digit of a dinosaur." He said, "You may want to take a second look. It's pretty round." So I did. I said, "Okay, team, back up, please." So I excavated under the ledge, because a portion of it was under the 14-inch ledge above it. We had 6-inch gap because of the hard pan and the clay. It turns out to be 10 being the scale, an 8.5 or a 9. That means every digit was in place. All three of the arches, the metatarsal arch, the medial section of the longitudinal arch, the lateral section, there is a longitudinal bulge on the outside of your foot. The second toe dipping deeper than even the great toe, and deeper than certainly the rest of the incidental toes. All of these are extremely important, as you're going to see in a moment in the program, in order to identify what is truly a human footprint. You can get some gouge markings even in a hard limestone. We call those ephemeral markings. You can get depressions that look like ponies and saddles, if you have a good imagination. But that's not what we want. The first live streaming of any paleontological dig was from our dig to Greenbelt, Maryland. So I'm trying to tell you that it's not just a rough concept. Do we have human footprints? That turned out to be, on a scale of 1 to 10, at least an 8.5. All of the essentials where there was no question whatsoever as to what it was. 14.5 inches from an Acrocanthosaurus dinosaur footprint. So then we continue to excavate, remove more limestone. This first was separated. The next one, the dinosaur had stepped in a portion of the human track and then pushed the rest of it back in the track itself, the one behind that. To verify that it's a trail, you need at least 3, left, right, or right, left, right. Still with me? So the next one, he had clipped off a front, and the last one, the entire footprint was there. So the front and the back, the entire footprint was there. Can you determine it's a trail of real human footprints if not everyone is pristine? Well, in a moment we'll see. So I called the press, because I was accustomed to dealing with the press in St. Louis. Called the press. I expected them to come down in a day or so. They flew down by helicopter. The next morning I stepped on the plane, DFW. Fort Worth Star Telegram, headlines, tracks step on evolution. That was interesting. And photo of one of those pristine tracks. Went back to St. Louis, and I thought everybody would accept it. One fellow called in from one of the universities and said, I'm an anatomist and I'm a paleontologist. It's quite a combination. He went to the television station, was interviewed by them. He said, what Ball has discovered is not a series of human footprints among the dinosaur footprints. And he said, one professor said, it's the great ape. And the great ape's foot, it's really the great ape has 4 hands. But the great ape has a foot about the size of a human foot, so he's mistaking an ape's foot for a human foot. Well, no, the great ape does not have the great toe. So another professor was interviewed by the press. I mean, overnight, they called me from Europe, called me from Canada. I want to have some fun, make a discovery that's rather controversial. And I reported back, got back to St. Louis, stepped in my office. I'd been there just a short time. My secretary said, CBS is on the line. They want an interview. I said, okay. So I was giving the interview to CBS, and she stepped up to me again with a note. I can see it as if it were just now. She said, ABC's on the other line. You only get to do this maybe once in a lifetime. So I said to CBS, I said, can you hold just a moment? ABC's on the other line, and I need to let them know when I can get to them. Oh, yes, sir, we'll hold. And so ABC, yes. I said, can you hold just a moment? CBS is on the other line. I need to get finished with them before I get back. I'll be happy to hold. And they did, and that night they both had it on the national news. Then the fireworks began. Another professor went on television and said what Ball really found was not a series of human footprints mixed with dinosaur footprints. It was not a series of great ape prints because they were not around in the Cretaceous period. And he was correct, even if evolution is true. He said what Ball really has discovered is the result of a shallow lake where a sick dolphin, can you believe this? A sick dolphin, well, he did worse than that. He rolled over on one side and he was sick, and as he trembled forward, he made motions that appeared, that cut into the mud, that later consolidated into rock, and in the mud it looked like toe prints. And then he rolled on the other side, and that was just a few feet away, and it did the same thing. So we have a whole series of sick dolphin tracks.
Dolphins with malaria?
Well, no, they're mammals. They weren't either. Well, now they've changed their mind. Anyhow, that's sick. That's the degree to which individuals will go not to admit the truth.